some jazz today. Yes, you gon' learn, you gon' learn, you gon' learn. It was just past 1, 2, 3 man with a 4, 5 step to the door like, oh my gosh, just throw that cash in a back bag, run around the back.
Hey everybody, it's Liz from the Lemon Bowl.
Vince from Irie Kitchen.
And welcome to the Irie Lemon Podcast.
Well, Vince, we made it. Another week. We live to tell the story.
Episode 26.
You didn't think we'd make it this far, but here we are.
We're still alive. I'm
How
on
have
my
you
day 9 of quarantine, and I'm loving it, actually.
It's probably the first week you really had off work in a minute, huh?
Yeah.
How do you I know you're still working, but in a different capacity, but it's definitely different. Like, you're not doing as much like physical labor. The restaurant business, 2 shifts in a row. I mean, what do you think about? Are you in a weird way like more tired now because you have more rest? Like, how are you adjusting?
I don't know. It's good, though. That's all I know.
That's good. You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm just like...
Part so far.
Huh?
What's been the best part so far?
I mean, I'm somebody that adapts pretty fast, so like the change of speed is nice. Like, there's more time to think about things.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Well, I'm asking because today's topic is going to be all about the silver linings of quarantine. Because I think, we're all hyper focused on, there's just so much out there right now in terms of, like, you turn the news on, it's horribly negative. You go on social media, there's a lot of negativity. I'm on so many text chains right now where people are just sharing negative stats, negative links. It can just be a little overwhelming. And I thought it'd be cool if we shared this week the silver lining. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So what are some positive things that have been going on in your life?
I mean, there's so many, it's crazy. I honestly I was thinking today that I'm probably going to look back on this time and it's going to probably in a weird way be one of the best times of my life. Isn't that crazy? But here's why.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, here's
Yeah.
why. My kids are 6 and 8. So, when you're a mom of little kids, you always want to freeze time, which sounds crazy because there are hectic, chaotic moments. But we all know that the minute they're teenagers and want nothing to do with us, we're going to miss these days like heck, right? Yeah. So me and all parents of small children have been given the gift of extra time with our kids because we're not running around. So we're completely focused and present and in the moment with our little kids 24/7, 7 days a week. And while it's not always butterflies and rainbows, there's a lot more incredible moments together than we would not have had if this wasn't happening. And I know that in the future, I will look back when I'm 50, 60, 70 and just wish I could click my heels and be back to this time.
Wow.
Is that crazy? Have I lost my mind? I'm on day 27. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too much now.
No, I think it's a cool insight and a cool take. I don't think that's wrong. You're probably right.
Don't you think that your parents are super grateful that they have this extra time with you?
When you put it like that, I hope.
Right. It's one of those things that you don't really think about until you're a parent, but you could understand that. Imagine like at 70 years old, my kids are off and about with their own families and whatever else. And, who knows, I might see them a couple times a year. I mean, God forbid, I hope they live where I live, but you never know. How lucky am I that I have, like, every day we're cooking together and we're watching shows together and we're just talking and cuddling and just we're playing outside. This morning we did sidewalk chalk and we go on walks every day. And let's just be real, when life is busy, there's not time for that on an every single day basis. So
that's so true, man. That's so true.
I'm just super grateful for it. All right, what about you? What's something, I know you're a little bit less into it than I am, but why don't you share a silver lining? Maybe a silver lining you didn't expect. Like, I'm sure you probably were like, oh, cool, I can catch up on sleep. But what's a silver lining that you probably didn't anticipate?
I would say, going off what you're saying, definitely like gratitude. Like, um, I think I've been saying this a lot, but I definitely think that like just little things you become more grateful for. Like, it's kind of like bad that we're on like quarantine and self lockdown, but then like I'll forever say this: like, when's the last time you went on a walk? You know what I'm saying? And like for me, like like being like introspective and thinking about how I go about things, how I live my life, what I want to do, where I want to be. And so like there's like all that thoughts are happening, but then also I'm just grateful for like little things. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, I'm not freaking out. Like I'm just like I don't know. I feel like I should be, but I haven't yet.
Mhm.
And so like I'm just grateful for like a calm mind and like all that kind of stuff during
Oh,
times like
that's
this.
good. That's a good right there. Grateful for a calm mind. I think a lot of people would kill for that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just yeah. For me, it's like, what are you so worried about? You know.
Well, why don't you talk about that a little bit before we get into other silver linings? Because I think I know a lot of people, a lot of my listeners and followers and subscribers and whatever else, they
I
are
just think
struggling with like their mind racing.
I just
So,
think worrying about things you can't control tend to put people in weird mindsets. And so go back to just to tie it all into silver lining, just like you're saying, like, you know, you might think that you sound crazy for spending all that time with your kids, but like, you know, that's a silver lining that people wouldn't have taken out because X means more. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like how many dads are spending more time at home and not working as much?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like, you know, like things like how many moms are now, you know, the nannies are not in the house anymore, so they can be around their kids and actually
Mm-hmm.
get to know their kids, and their kids are not just this distant thing they have to like
Oh, right.
feed all the time, right? So like, and how many parents are, you know, even though they're not teachers, how many people are teaching their kids and seeing like maybe like how smart their kids are, where their kids struggle, and like how they can actually help them. And so I think like, you know, when we start to worry about things you can't control, I think that's where like all these weird things are creeping in, and they're not self-serving. They don't help you. And so like for me, it's just like I don't know. I just don't. I just tend not to worry about things. And sometimes I'm a little too nonchalant. People say, but like it's just more about like you
Mhm.
know. And
Yeah.
so I think just for me is like I think I'm naturally grateful, naturally just in a mode where like I'm always good, you know. And then so like even more so now, like I was like even just more grateful for like little things like grass, you
Mhm.
know, fresh air, trees.
Right.
Like seriously, like I walk outside, I'm like, yo, this shit is dope,
It's
you
true.
know?
Yeah, because you probably don't have a ton of time normally to be present.
Yeah, like no one does. And
Yeah.
so it's like when you think about the earth like that, then you start thinking that like, oh, you're just a part of this whole thing. Like you're
Hmm.
not that important. Stop, like everything's so self-serving and about me, and I'm depressed and I'm anxious, and it's like, why is everything about you? You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like
There's no better way to also feel that instantly than getting out in nature. Don't you agree?
exactly. And I think just like getting out of your own head and stop making it about yourself. You know, we're all in a pandemic. We're
Hmm.
all struggling. And you have
Yeah.
hot water and water bottles and plenty of food, like someone doesn't.
Hmm.
And they're not complaining. They're finding happiness. So like, you
Hmm.
know? So for all the rules people out there in life, like they don't get the complaints either shouldn't you, you know? And it's
Hmm.
like little things like that, like perspective, gratitude, like all that stuff has been just like hitting me every single day as I'm just walking around and like seeing little things. You
Yeah.
know, like we get to go on Microsoft Teams and do a podcast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Exactly.
so you know what I'm
Imagine
saying?
pandemic before like 1985 with no internet.
Exactly. And this is bad, and like people are dying and people are getting sick, and But at the same time, the silver lining is like how many people are innovating on their business. You're now doing a live cooking show on your Facebook that you didn't do, Liz.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Whether it was time, whether you just didn't think about it, but now it's like it's hot. People, it's blowing up. People love it. Like,
Yeah.
so I think it's just like there's so many benefits in shifting, right?
Mm.
I feel like humans are tool makers, and like we can create after something technically is destroyed. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we're able to create with our imagination. And so like the world stops for a minute and quote unquote destroyed, and like look, all these people creating ideas and
Right. And I think
things.
I feel like so many great companies and entrepreneurs and ideas were born during times of crisis like this. You know, you hear a lot about it right now, obviously, but I'm hearing about more and more companies that I didn't realize came after the 2008 crisis. And you know, sometimes you do need these reset buttons, so to speak.
100%.
And I think that we probably wish we could press reset on a very regular basis, but you just can't. Well, guess what? We all just had a big reset button pressed, which is such a cool opportunity to see which business models are sustainable, for example. Did you really build a strong business with a strong foundation? Did you build something that's sustainable? This is that time when those types of things come to light. Like, did you have too large of a staff? Could you live without certain expenses in your company? You know, like there's so many. Did you need all those in-person meetings or trips? And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of human connection and I love to travel, but I think it's super important to shift your perspective on what's happening and look at what lessons can be learned out of it, as opposed to feeling like a victim about it.
Yeah, because like I agree with that. Like you know, I'm totally against the victim mentality and victimhood. So any way you can like fight. And I also tell people like this is like the pre-punishment. You know, like I know we live in a different world now, but like think about before you get spanked or something. Like this is the talking or before you get hit. And so if you're already crying during the talking, like
that's a funny
you haven't got hit yet.
Sounds like a little boy that's naughty on a regular basis.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like. I'm just trying to use it as a not like you know, so people can like reference it. But like seriously though, like how many people are just sitting here crying because your parents are talking to you sternly and they haven't brought the belt out yet? You know, and so like with this pandemic, don't get me wrong, like it's serious, but like it's about to get way worse in 8 months. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm okay with the 2 weeks of crying and being upset. Like everyone has emotions. But now it's time to like see the silver lining, see the opportunity, like open up your eyes and start like playing because like, you know, the belt hasn't gotten out yet.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think's happening in 8 months as opposed to like 3, 4, or 5 months? Why did you say 8 months?
I just think like the chain effect, it just takes a while.
Yeah.
I think 8 months before we start really seeing like real effects.
I was hearing today that June and July are going to be really bad. You know, because by then bills won't be getting paid and, you know, people still won't be kind of going out as much. But yeah, who knows? And I think the fact that we don't know is probably why people are struggling so much.
No one has the answer.
Correct. Right.
We're all guessing.
So another silver lining that I've experienced is everyone is cooking from scratch at home. And as a food blogger that's been cooking, I mean, I've been cooking my whole life, but for example, a lot of my friends don't typically cook, and a lot of my family members don't cook. A lot of just people I've met over the years, and now everyone is cooking, whether they like it or not. But what's so exciting is that people are finding joy in it. People are realizing that, oh, I can actually spend 4 hours creating a meal from scratch and get a lot of pleasure out of that. It's therapeutic. It brings my kids together. It's fulfilling when it's done. It's nourishing our bodies with healthy food. And obviously that's the pillars of my entire business. So it's so rewarding to me to see other people finding a joy in something that obviously is one of my biggest joys. So that's a huge silver lining. Again, I literally never thought, I didn't even think about when this started.
Wow. That's a nice take. Like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, how many, especially in America right
I mean,
now.
you must notice that you've got friends cooking. I mean, especially, I mean, you don't want to make blanket statements, but a lot of young kids don't cook a ton. Like I remember they used to say millennials don't grocery shop or cook because they were like all those meal kits and
Yeah, seriously.
restaurants. Right. So are
Okay,
you
companies,
noticing
like,
like
they all blew up because people don't cook.
so are you noticing in your like social feeds and your circles, like are people reaching out to you for cooking? Like I get so many more questions from just my friends.
Yeah.
Like literally today, Abby had 3 questions for me on a taco recipe. And guess what? I'm here for it. Are any
Yeah.
of your younger friends reaching out?
No, not really.
Do you,
No, but I definitely being seeing people that can cook flexing on the gram for sure.
mm, yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of like people grilling, like a lot
Yeah.
of people that can cook, like, oh, I can throw down. Yeah,
Mhm.
obviously the people that probably can't cook are not posting anything because they're probably on their fifth microwavable meal or their
It's funny.
Sunday canned tuna, whatever they're into. But like, no, yeah, no, I do think young people, um, especially young people who live by themselves, um, are gonna be forced with the issue of like, all right, I need to start making food to save money or like learn this skill at least. And so I
Yeah.
think that would be cool just to like see in the coming weeks of like more and more like young people like making recipes and
Mhm.
learning how to cook and like being self-sufficient in that aspect. Because like honestly, in the 2020 world before a pandemic, I would argue that a lot of people could argue that they did not need to learn how to cook.
Correct. Correct. And the other side of that is now kids are learning to cook. I mean, my 2 kids, and we cook a lot. They're cooking more than they ever have because now we've gone from like just cooking dinner about 5 nights a week to cooking 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. So, I mean, I can do a lot, Vince, but I need a little help from time to time. I mean, obviously we don't have a house cleaner right now. I still have my business is busier than it's ever been. It's not shut down. So I need help now in the kitchen, whereas before that was like my time to serve my family. And so now like Asher's scrambling eggs for the first time and like using the oven and like, Jacob can grab milk out of the fridge and again that's on me because I love to cook for them, so they could have been doing that earlier, but now I just don't have the bandwidth, and they're totally down for and they love to help, and I swear to God that they're going to become cooks because in part this is helping. It's definitely speeding it up, and I think especially it makes me happy because they're boys. And obviously, typically, I don't know what it is these days. I don't know the actual stats, and goes both ways. But in general, a lot of the women still do a lot of the cooking in families. So I love the idea of having 2 boys leave this house that can cook for their partner one day.
Yeah, like like for me, like I was raised in a foreign household, so like that was normal. You
Yeah.
know, like
Wait, what was normal? Because I've seen foreign households where the women don't even let the men stand up while they're cooking the meal.
um, cook, clean, like everything.
The woman or the man?
No, like the kids,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
kids, men, and
Yeah.
every culture is different, and every like household is different, obviously,
Yeah.
and how they set things up. But like in my household, at least the people I grew around with, like we all know how to cook, we all know how to clean. I've been doing like since I was like your kid's age, you
Yeah.
know, like 6, you're washing your own clothes.
Hmm.
You know how to like vacuum, like clean properly. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I love
And so I find it interesting to watch like people get that quote unquote traditional like human skills, especially for like men, I think too. It's
Well, I
like,
grew up in foreign households where it was a source of pride for the matriarch to cook for their family. So like the men, the younger, the kids, and the husbands, like even if they wanted to help in the kitchen, she really insisted that they stay seated in the living room while it was almost like her source of pride of serving them.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've personally
But
never
your
seen
point
that.
is different.
That makes sense though. No, I can see that. I can
And
see if like the men were always working and then like that was her part. But I can
but
see people.
kids though, the kids weren't even allowed to help.
Oh, that's interesting. Uh,
Because I was
I,
like, your mom cooks such amazing food. How do you not know any of these recipes? And the heats wasn't allowed in the kitchen.
yeah,
But it was like her sort, which I love too. That was like her. It was her sort, and I also she probably wanted a little alone time.
probably too.
Oh my God, I miss that.
A little
That's the
love
thing to
power
me.
make it
Like I
right.
don't, I work from home, and my kids never went to daycare, and that was a choice I made. So I like to be able, like, if they don't have to cook themselves dinner, I love to cook dinner. So, but I will say it is, I'm realizing now I took for granted that that was a lot. A lot of times cooking was my alone time, which I don't have anymore. But obviously I'm not
That
gonna,
makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
yeah.
I think
But
my parents were just really big on like learning your culture, and so like
yeah, food's the best way
there's no recipes in my family, so like once mom and dad, like that's it. So if you didn't learn it, like then your kids are definitely not Jamaican, they're American, and then like you have to accept that. And so like if you don't want to pass down your heritage at all, then don't learn anything.
yeah.
And that was like pretty much like my parents like pitched to like my sister and I. And like honestly, my sister like didn't care. Like she did not cook or anything for a long time.
Yeah.
I was into it because I was like, no, I want like my kids to know how to make curry goat.
Yeah, my sisters don't cook at all, but I've been cooking since I was 7. So
Yeah,
same
so it's
parent
like
household. I think you're just sometimes you're just born with an interest in cooking, right? Like you could be in the
yeah,
same.
for
You're a
me,
twin.
it's just eating.
Yeah.
Like we did not have, and I'm sure for you too. Like we did not have any like. Oh, you're older than me, probably. You probably didn't have those things yet. But like, there's like no like ready meals or microwave stuff or anything in my household. So if you
Yeah.
want to eat, like you literally had to go make something.
Yeah.
I
Same.
remember like I didn't. Also, I grew up weird. We didn't go to a lot of people's houses, so like people come to my house and be like, "Oh, where's your like chicken nuggets at?"
Oh,
Like, what are you
gross.
talking about?
And you probably didn't like eating at friends' houses.
I mean, I wasn't allowed to.
Oh, really? Oh,
I had really bad allergies, so I couldn't just eat anything.
oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay,
But like,
what's the other silver lining for you?
yeah, so no, it was definitely like so seeing everyone get their families involved. Like for me,
Yeah.
it's just cool to like see kids like learn that because like, obviously like they're either hating it or they're enjoying it. But like when they're like my age and then older, as much as you're having memories of you being around your kids will have memories like, oh, I remember mom made this bread with me. So when he has his family, take his kids out, and they make the bread like just as tradition, just as memories, because food are memories, right? Like that's why
I
we
agree with that.
enjoy food so much. Like curry goat's my favorite meal because it has so many memories attached to it. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
me, my kids are, I think I'm fourth generation American. So my kids are fifth generation American. So for us, making Syrian food is our only, like, we don't have any people born in Syria alive anymore in our family. So all those recipes that, just like imagine for you, all your favorite Jamaican recipes, if we don't cook those and teach those to the next generation, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So,
No, seriously, they get lost.
yeah.
So I think
All
the
right.
silver lining is like
Yeah.
all that, and also like people who don't come from necessarily like those cultures being able to like make it because they have time.
Right. So
So
true.
I
All
think that's
my
also
recipes are going very well. They're very popular right now because some of them take more time. So now people have the time. For example, like my Vietnamese fresh rolls are going crazy right now because people finally have the time to like learn how to make a fresh roll and how to wrap them, and you know what I'm saying?
you know,
I have another silver lining to share. Want to hear it?
yeah.
Um, I've been doing yoga almost every day, and I am probably still that person that's like, well, if I only have an hour to work out, I should probably try to burn 600 calories, lift the heaviest weights possible, break a major sweat. I often would put yoga off because on paper it wasn't as good of a workout. I didn't burn as many calories, didn't break a sweat, wasn't lifting weights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, so there's a couple things now. For one, I don't have as much time restraints. So I can do a 20, 30-minute yoga practice in the morning and still do like a cardio at noon and go for a walk at 5. So I can actually end up getting in like an hour and a half to 2 hours of fitness, but still have time. I have more time.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
my argument of like, I only have an hour today, sometimes I would only have 45 minutes. I wasn't going to quote unquote waste it on yoga. So that's been really great. And then the other benefit of that is that I find that yoga has really helped me. I've definitely been feeling like a tightness in my chest, and I'm not an anxious person. I don't suffer from anxiety. I know many people that do, and I just don't necessarily resonate with it. I don't quite fully understand it. And I'm talking close people that I've heard them talk about it, and I've learned a lot about it, but I don't have that. But guess what? In the last month, I have been having a tightness in my chest from time to time. And it's typically like when I turn the news on or when I get a text of something horrible. But when I start working out, especially yoga, I just immediately don't think about it anymore. And the tightness goes away. So hidden perk is that I now have the time to do yoga every day. And the perk is that it's like a great way to immediately calm any nerves.
Wow. Yeah, confession, I've done like one day I walk, but I have not been working out.
At all?
No.
Really? How do you feel about that? I get a little depressed when I don't work out. Have you had that happen yet?
No, I think personally, like, not to like toot my own horn, but I think I'm like the hardest working person like that I know. And so I think my body like needs like the rest. What
Yeah,
other
probably.
people like, so like I think my body is thankful for getting like Z's in, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like I definitely do think by like next week I'll probably like start working out in the mornings for sure, like really doing it. I did
Yeah.
like one day, but I haven't like, I haven't like
Yeah.
really got
See,
into
I'm a
it.
month in, so like it's a
No,
different.
exactly. No, like I'm like thinking like, man, I probably gotta start like working out again.
Yeah,
Uh,
I especially when it's nice out, it's an easy way to. I feel a lot of times it's up to me to get my family moving. So a family walk gets Rich and the kids, all 4 of us, fitness. So even if I've worked out in the morning, I go on another walk with them. And I do think it's so important to be outside every day. And the other crazy thing is that every app, every gym, every fitness brand is offering free classes right now that you can stream in your living room. So I've actually never done as many different workouts. Like I'm not doing
have you
the
heard
same.
about Peloton?
Yeah.
Yo, so have you seen those memes?
No, the one
Like
about
people,
I bet that gift isn't so bad now.
yeah, like it's basically essentially that. Like people are just like they're talking so much crap about Peloton,
I remember that.
and like now is not a bad idea. And like I think like their sales have gone up like
Oh,
on
I know
crazy
tons of people that have bought those bikes.
because
Tons.
they already were doing the virtual workouts on the
That's
screen.
the whole thing.
So I
Yeah.
think that's a really cool business to like look into and like it's like again silver lining, right? Like why do you need 1,000 gyms when you can have 3 and then they stream to the world and technically have 10,000?
Right. True. Honestly, I wonder how many people, it'll be interesting to think about what people will go back to, you know?
Yeah, I
Like,
would bet. Go ahead, sorry.
well, I mean, the only thing I can say though is a lot of the things that are free right now are just free because there's a shelter in place. I
Yeah,
think what's also going to happen is there's all these brands they're earning new customers that will pay in the future.
yeah. I think like the most ingenious and smartest entrepreneurs will figure out how to monetize all this. Um, but yeah, no, I think a lot of people are doing and have been doing like reactive short-term measures. I haven't seen anyone like do a long-term pivot yet. You
Mm,
know, everyone's just very like, we gotta do this now, now, now.
yeah.
So I do wonder once things get lifted or quote unquote back to normal, like what stops? You know,
Yeah.
like when you get back to normal, you're gonna stop doing your live cooking shows, Liz? Like for example, or you're gonna now fit that in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just interested to see like.
So here's another interesting. I want to throw this into you since I know this probably isn't front of your mind, but you have to remember. Imagine how much more time everyone's going to have when kids go back to school. So I know firsthand because this was my first year where kids were in school all day. So I spent 8 years without kids in school all day, but with kids, right?
Yeah.
And I know firsthand very recently the dramatic difference it is to have a full day with no children. And let me tell you, Vince, I mean, hello, we launched Irie Lemon. We launched a podcast. Like there's so many different projects I started doing once I had that full day. So the only thing I will say is that to your point of are people going to keep doing those things? I mean, if anything, I want to have triple as much. I want to homeschool anymore. So it's going to be exciting. I mean, imagine how much more I'll be able to do.
Yeah. And there's a lot of thinkers and innovators out there, but my bet is that people are going to get right back to their old habits because they know that.
I don't know about that. I don't think we're ever going to go back. I don't think the Zoom calls are going to stop. I think a lot of people have been connecting with their grandparents that they would typically talk to like once a month, and now they're talking every week. I don't think that's gonna. I don't know. I think there's going to be almost like a middle point. I don't think we'll go all the way back. I don't think we'll stay all the way same, but I think we'll meet somewhere in the middle, like a happy medium. Because I think also now people are getting a taste for how important it is to be present. I mean, for example, this yoga class I took today, the last like 5 to 6 minutes were like restorative, like basically meditation. Normal Liz would be like, forget that. Let's burn some more calories. Let's switch to another video. Guess what, Vince? I don't have anywhere to be. I did that meditation at the end.
So let's role play this out. Let's say you did have somewhere to be. Will you still do yoga?
I'll find time to do it. So for example, when I do my daily workout, I'm going to make sure yoga is part of it. Also, the other thing I've learned from this, here's another silver lining. There's more to life than a 1-hour workout. So right now I've been doing a lot of days where it's 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes after lunch, and then 20 minutes before dinner. Or it could be 45 minutes and then 20 minutes and then, like basically squeezing in workouts throughout the day, but smaller workouts as opposed to I used to work out 60 minutes to 90 minutes at the gym.
Yeah.
So I could see myself very easily realizing like, hey, I could go do my 1-hour hardcore weightlifting, but I'm going to do 20 minutes of yoga before bed. And now I know all the resources online. For example, I learned how to stream YouTube into my living room. Don't laugh at me. I just wasn't doing that regularly.
Yeah, no.
Now I know how to do it.
So like this is my bet. I'll say if I had to do a blanket statement, blanket numbers, I'll say 20 to 25% of the world are forward thinkers are going to add things they've learned into their life. And I bet the rest aren't.
Yeah. What do you think I fall?
No, I think like you said, like you're ready, like someone who didn't have time to do yoga at the end of the day. Now you just found time in the day.
Yeah.
And so you can see yourself doing what you're saying. So like you can see yourself doing it. That gives you a better shot of actually adding it in. But like to me, like before I started working out, I didn't have time to work out.
And you obviously have the same 24 hours a day.
You know what I'm saying? Like literally. And so then when I made the decision, then I added it in all different times whenever I could go, but I made sure that it went. You know what I'm saying?
I think we're going to cherry pick, to your point, the things that have been the most impactful and the most meaningful. Like, for example, Asher loves to do these Facebook Lives with me. He literally, at night, it says it's his favorite part of the day. And I know he's 8. Like, he's going to remember this. And he's going to be 9, 10, 11 soon. And I'm not going to not want to have those memories with him. First of all, they're literally recorded memories on camera, on video.
Yeah.
We have now. And beyond that, mentally, he'll remember these moments. So, for example, I'd much rather do a podcast with you in person if I had to pick. So maybe I wouldn't keep doing Teams podcast recordings, but will I still do live cooking demos with my son when I can? Yes.
Yeah.
Picking and choosing.
yeah, like for me, I'm realizing that like, I can do 4 or 5 meetings on Teams or Zoom now and save myself 2 hours of commute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know how many meetings will never go back to that?
Yeah, and like how long meetings are. Like, oh my god, now I have, like literally I can look at my time like, yo, it's 35 minutes. Let's end
Yeah,
it because all I have. You know,
exactly.
and so
Exactly.
like I'm curious to see like what happens. Obviously, the world has been shaken, and like I think like experiences are definitely take a hit and change because like going to the gym or going to a restaurant or going out is going to be different. But like majority of people, I feel like are going to go support or are not going to.
Well,
And
and that's the thing is like when we have meetings in person, a lot of times they're at restaurants like yours or coffee shops. So, like for
exactly,
example, I was supposed to be training my new employee at Irie Kitchen a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
So in the future, even though Teams is amazing, and to your point, it would save me 40 minutes of driving. It would keep my time. I do think there is some value to in-person meetings and the businesses that those meetings support. Like you were saying the other day, all the people that work at coffee shops, they could work at home, but they're supporting. So I am going to try my best to support. And I think there is some value to getting out of the house. Um, it brings some energy. It gives you, like your friend said that you did the live with the other day, you can't really output if you're not getting input from other things. So going out in the world and interacting with other people in person, I think sometimes can add more to your life that you can then output in different ways.
yeah. My hot take on all of this is that we're going to see for like the forward thinkers and early adapters 2 to 3 days out of the week where they work from home and then just do like this.
Oh
And
yeah.
2 days they go into the office and 2 days they go out into the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny because I obviously have always worked from home. I think I forget that so many people.
Don't.
I'll tell you one thing. I used to work in a corporate environment, and once I started working from home, the idea of even getting dressed in suits and high heels every day and doing my hair and makeup,
Just to
like,
sit down all day.
oh my gosh,
And
like,
how many people are going to be like, you know what? Like, I want to pick my kids up from school. And I couldn't because I worked an hour away from home.
1,000%.
And I went in on a Friday and there was no meetings. I just went in for just to go in.
Not to mention, working from
Like,
home is a lot healthier for your lifestyle. Like a friend of mine works in HR, and at work there were always like snacks around and treats around, or like someone's birthday or someone's whatever. There'd be happy hours, and now she's home and she's able to cook from scratch a healthy lunch and eat a good breakfast and start meal prepping a healthy dinner in the middle of the day. Whereas she wasn't getting home till 7 at night, and it's a much healthier lifestyle and
people
finding time to
start using those rooms they haven't used in years. People are
yeah.
listening right now. When was the last time you've been in your basement? You know what I'm saying? Like
True.
I think a lot of people are gonna like see value in like little things. Like even me, like I'm just like, wait a minute, like what was I spending all my time doing? That was so important.
Yeah.
Like what are my new values now? I think that's like the early adopters. I think the majority though, I can't wait to go back to work. Can't wait to get out of the house. Can't
Well,
wait to
and when you
go
do
start
have
a
little
restaurant.
kids home,
Can't wait to start drinking. Like people are easy. You know what I'm saying?
uh,
Like
but
it's
not our
weird that you have
husbands.
call your
Our
grandma,
listeners are
huh? Huh?
not our listeners though. Our listeners are smart cookies.
Yeah, I encourage our listeners to, you know, take the things that you've been doing and just like try to add it in and like for me, rest. Oh, which sounds crazy, but like I was not a person that went to sleep.
Yeah. How much sleep have you been getting now?
I've been getting my recommended or over for sure.
That's
So
awesome.
for now on, like when I'm done with working, there's nothing to be done, and like I don't need to relax watching Netflix. I'm going to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, like I already see like for me, like that's added in 100%.
And where there's less socializing, like we're not going out, we're not drinking as much. Like, it's funny in some ways, I think, people are drinking probably a little bit more than normal because, it's stressful times. But I think like for me, what I realize is that So I used to be just like a strictly social drinker, meaning that I really wasn't making a cocktail home with just me and Rich. I would have a drink if I was like out with girlfriends or at some event or whatever else. But now I'm like doing what you're supposed to do, which is have like 1.5 drinks a night, like a glass of wine with dinner, like something. Well, no, like in the Mediterranean diet, a glass of red wine every night is actually part of good health. Is that funny to you? But you're not supposed to do what most people do, which is binge drink on the weekends. Like you're supposed to just have like a glass of wine with dinner. You're not familiar with the Mediterranean diet?
No, I just find fun, like, the rules funny. So.
Well, I just think it's better to have like one drink on like a Tuesday than like 5 margaritas on Saturday because you didn't drink all week. A lot of people will like, wait all week and then go crazy on the weekends. And I just don't think that's great for your body, personally. I think it's better to drink, a glass of wine with your dinner, personally, than drink to get blackout drunk.
Yeah, I think you should just drink water and be healthy.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, Vince? Like most people, especially young kids your age, don't drink at home, but then they go out and then they get
Oh yeah,
drunk. That's what I'm saying. Like,
they get plastered.
right. I mean, you've never done that, but other people have.
Yeah, that's not me at all.
But I think like if anything, I don't know. I don't drink every day either, but I'm like counting my calories right now.
No, I think we call it lemonade drinkers in Jamaica. We're gonna get a lot of like secret lemonade drinkers.
What does that mean?
Functioning alcoholics, definitely out of this.
Oh, lemonade drinkers? Is that what they call it?
Yeah,
Explain that to me.
like you're just basically like
Sipping lemonade all day?
yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Or you need it with your dinner, or like you start like adding it in. You know what I'm saying? Like, but America, especially like West Michigan, like I always make the joke that we're all functioning alcoholics. Like I haven't like who
Oh,
doesn't drink? Who
see,
doesn't drink? Like we
I
literally have founders here.
interesting. I
Like,
feel like,
sorry, go ahead. You cut out for a second.
well, compared to like when I lived in New England, like the Irish population, they drink like crazy all the time. When in West Michigan, you've got a lot of people that don't even drink at all. That's funny that you say that.
Oh, really? I always see like a 6-pack or a beer with
Yeah,
dinner. Remember, I came from a household where like no one drank. You know
right.
what I'm saying? So I came from a super like clean household. So like
Yeah,
if I see one drink, to me that's a lot. But
yeah.
like it's not even a bad thing. Like I think drinking is fine. But like but I always like joked around like, man, like your dad just kicked back 4 of those beers, you know,
Oh, yeah.
like in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, probably a bigger topic than this particular podcast, but the buffering is a little out of hand right now in America with drinking, overeating, all sorts of different drugs being used to buffer and like basically numb our feelings right now because people are freaked the heck out. But I don't really want to tackle that topic today. I want to stay focused on silver linings. But if that is you, well, that actually segues to another silver lining I've experienced is that, and I think what I've learned from especially like the Life Coach School podcast is that this time is such a great opportunity to sit with yourself and to look inward. And if you have a feeling bubble up, think about where's that stemming from? Where's that coming from? What lesson is that emotion trying to teach you? And I think that I know for me that's what stops me from buffering with I would say for me it'd probably be, I'm assuming since I was an overweight child, I would buffer with food. So I think that if anytime you do feel like yourself going towards buffering with drinking or eating or whatever else, there's many other ways people buffer that, people buffer with porn, people buffer with social media, being glued to their phones. There's so many different things people do, even just reading the news every 5 minutes. I think that this is a very rare gift. Well, we may never get again in our lifetimes to sit with ourselves. And the normal distractions and interruptions are gone. And we can finally look inward and think and discover ourselves and learn more about ourselves and our true selves. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's been a huge gift for me.
No, I think so too. It's not like I think in a normal day, like, I'm just one of the people that don't know themselves, and so now they're forced to. So to your example about people going out and spending the weekend to get drunk is because like they don't really they haven't sat with themselves. They haven't like don't know a personality. They don't know what they like. They just do what everybody else likes to do, whatever else thinks they should do. Or this is the rule. Like no one like knows what they want to do and why they want to do it.
Right.
You know, and I think it's a great time. Like day 27. Like how many trends can you follow on social media before like you're like, you know what? I don't like any of this. Like I want to sit all day and watch Netflix, or I want to work out all day, or I want to hang out like whatever it's going to be. I think this is going to encourage a lot of people to like chase the feeling or like understanding like themselves. You know what I'm saying? And understand what makes them unique and what makes them different. And like how many people like got off the job and like the entrepreneur who's been scared to make the jump, who just got laid off, is now going to come up with the next big business right now.
Yeah. You know how many people probably just lost a job they hated?
Yeah. We don't run into that because we love what we do for the most part, but like how many people we ran into, all they talk about is how much they hate their job. That's all their topics.
Literally
I hate their job, their boss. So the silver lining now is like, well, now temporarily at least, you've probably lost that. And so now you're be able to think about what are you going to do to fix it.
Yeah.
All
right, I have another silver lining. So we've been debt free for many years. And, there were definitely times when I remember making like 30 grand a year out of college, and, Rich had tons of college debt, and, we learned to live on much less money. And I think that times like this, anyone can be wealthy as long as you don't spend more than you make. And this is such a great opportunity to really look at what you're spending, look at your expenses, and find ways to save, and also find ways to get rid of, like, how many people have monthly subscriptions for things that they don't really need, or have recurring payments for things they didn't remember they signed up for, or, the list goes on, or just people that buffer by online shopping. A lot of women I know, that's literally their hobby. And, whether that's like the daily Target run or the daily whatever it might be, well, the gift of right now is that you can get into a better financial situation and even just learn. I remember I used to love the website. Do you ever use mint.com or .org?
No, you showed me it though. Yeah.
I love it. It's basically a personal.
That's really good product. Yeah.
It's a personal budget website. And I loved it because it basically, it's all through, it pulls your bank information, it pulls in all your credit cards, and it can easily help you set up a monthly budget. And it can tell you, like, that's when I learned that your rent should never be more than a quarter of what you earn every month.
Yeah.
And, just little personal finance tips that were helpful for me when I was in my early 20s. And those tools that I learned came in handy when I was laid off in 2008. And then when Rich was laid off in 2010, and God forbid that could happen again, So I think that this is a great opportunity, and another silver lining right now is that you can really hone in on your finances, trim the fat, learn how to budget. And guess what? When the economy goes back upwards, those are skills you can hold on to. That's why we're debt free now, because we learned those skills back then. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a cool, a lot of times that's like the last thing you want to do on your to-do list.
Yeah, and I think how people are going to realize they're like, chasing the Joneses.
Yeah.
And how many people are like, have the house, have the cars, but they're paycheck to paycheck. You know what I'm saying? And so I think this also put a perspective like, we don't need this big house.
No. Although, honestly, right now, it's been a godsend. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I have to almost argue that at this moment. If you can afford the space, and I've talked to a lot of friends that have I'm almost 40. So we're at that stage where we're in our forever homes. And I have to just tell you, because I get what you're saying, but I feel like if you can afford the space, I couldn't do this podcast right now if I was in our old house, or I couldn't work from home or grow a business. So I mean, I think it's a matter of if you can afford it. But to your point, I didn't buy this house to impress anyone. I did it because I work from home and I needed a nice kitchen and stuff like that. So I will say that right now, I've never been more grateful.
Yeah, always live under your means and don't follow trends or think that
Yeah.
you have to do.
You can do something to impress somebody else because that's all made up.
Or just even think that you have to.
Yeah, isn't that just totally made up? Like no one cares.
Rules people live by, like, like if you don't like that, like, you don't need a big house, don't live in a big house. If you want a big house, buy a big house. I just think, like, I just hear people talk about things. I'm like, who told you that? Like,
Yeah.
why is that a rule?
Yeah. I mean, think of all the people that buy fancy cars literally to impress their friends. Like, or jewelry or, clothing.
How, like, everything.
Yeah.
It's
And like you
always
said, it's fine if you want those things.
Or
We're not
that idea of what success is, right? Like, all right, I'll tell you someone whose family is sold on the American dream and what that means to us. It is the house. It is the cars. It is that picket fence. Is what you think it is, And don't get me wrong, I'm a catalyst. I like nice things. You know me. It's like I love cars. Like, anyone's listening to this, you live in a big house, like live it up.
Yeah.
I'm not against those things, but I do see a lot of people that just think like that is the measure of,
Yeah, I think it's something to point out that I know we both believe in is that it's much better to make 50 grand a year and be happy than to make $250,000 and be unhappy. And I think so often we chase a monetary number, or we might chase a profession that we think will finally impress our parents or our dad, or even a sibling you're competitive with, like your smart older sibling. And, at the end of the day, if you're happy making 40 grand a year, stick with that,
Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
I just think happiness is more important than any amount of money.
And I would challenge people on how much money have they made where they're making that call. Right? A lot of people, I always tell people, especially in West Michigan. So if your city is a small city like West Michigan, a third market, I always said, Liz, when we first met, 36 grand in Grand Rapids, you're okay.
Oh yeah.
And 75 grand in Grand Rapids, you're really good. And anything over 150, you're basically a multimillionaire in West Michigan. Because how affordable it is to live.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
And
that's
so
why we moved here from Boston. It was 60% lower cost of living.
So I always challenge people I want to make this amount of money, but they never made 20 yet. Mm-hmm. And you talking about 100, you haven't made 20. Yeah. Let's get to 20 so you know what that feels like. And then you can make the call. You think why? Because this person said this is the definition of, no. There's levels to this, and there's also process. But I also think a lot of people are going to become less materialistic and more aware, or maybe more. But they're just gonna make those calls for themselves now because they have time to think about it. Because some people who do have the cars are enjoying, the hour a day they can go take out and drive around the block.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not be so preoccupied by working to keep up the cars and keep up,
right.
I might as well drive them, So I think there's so much good that's happening right now. Look at America for people are supporting, man. They're figuring out fast. It's cool to see that human beings, when it counts, we can all come together.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's also a cool thing to watch and see.
I think we're all pretty dope, honestly.
Yeah, we're the apex creature on Earth.
Yeah.
And so when we remind ourselves like that, we can fix anything, figure it all out.
Yeah.
Our priorities might have to quote unquote change, but I'm not making that call for anybody.
Everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
Everything is figure outable. I think we should leave it at that.
All right, great episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in. How do you guys like the Microsoft Team episodes? I know we'll get in person soon. Please leave a comment, a rating. Please share. Please send us questions because now we have like so much time. I would love to have questions by the people that are listening to this, so we can answer it and give you guys feedback. Anyone that wants to come on and have a conversation with us, I'm also down for that too. So hit us up.
We might be launching something new and exciting, a little something different. Of course, it'll be virtual for now, but I think you guys are going to like it. We want to provide you with more free, helpful, useful, fun content right now. So we're working on something. Stay tuned. It's going to be good. All right. Peace out. Bye.